Tonight is March 21st. It's a Monday and it's a Gold Coast meeting night, and I want to welcome everybody. I'm glad you're here. We're going to make it tonight. It's going to happen. Life is good. If there's anything you guys want covered while we're doing this, speak up, let me know, and we'll be happy to try and cover it. No, the pen tool is out of the question, so that ain't going to happen.
Oh.
So let's go ahead and share screen, and I'm going to do it this way. Let's go with desktop so you can see me do everything. And you can see my Zoom meeting right there. Let's close that puppy, go to Photoshop. And can you see my Photoshop screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. The first thing I did was I hit the F key twice. The F key will go full screen. If I hit it a third time, F again, it goes back to the regular screen there. When I try to move it, hit V for move, I try to move the background layer and it won't allow me to move it. It says you have to convert to a normal layer. I don't want to do that. Hit cancel. If I hit F one time, now I said F, supposed to be able to move it. It don't want to play. Fine. If I go big outside the screen, now I can shut up. Now I can move it around. Command 0. And we'll go back to F again. The hand. Now I can move this around anytime I want to. What I'm doing is I'm holding the space bar, or you can hit H for the hand, or you can click on the hand on the left-hand side, and that will give you the hand tool, and you can move this puppy around. If you double click, let's make this really big. So we'll go bing, 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 and we'll hit double click on the hand tool, and it brings it down to full screen again. That wasn't part of the program, but I thought I'd throw it in there because a lot of people say, why can't I move it around? Well, you can. Just use the hand tool and you can do that. Here's a little advertisement for West Coast School. Photoshop 0 to 60 in a week. And I will be teaching Photoshop there. And I am excited as heck. This will be my 4th year of teaching. I did 3 years, off for a year, no school for 2 years. Now I'm back. So if you haven't signed up for West Coast School, you want a full week of West Coast School, a fun class, this is the one. If not, there's Sandra Pierce where you're painting in Photoshop. There's Richard Sturdivant for doing his composites in Photoshop. That's an advanced Photoshop class. You've got Tony Corbell doing posing and lighting, Tim Meyer doing posing and lighting. You got Joe Glida doing commercial photography, Randy Van Dynen doing architectural photography, and you've got me doing Photoshop. Command W is a shortcut to close that. And we'll go to Bridge. I said, I'll go to Bridge. There we go. And then open up my birdie. Can everybody see the birdie?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Cool. I shot this puppy in South Africa. It was sitting on the edge of the little pond we had there, and I zoomed in on him pretty good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a selection of the bird, and I think I'll do the bottom bird just for fun. So let's hit W, and what W is the quick selection tool, the object selection tool, or the magic wand tool. Right now I have it in the object selection tool. And there we go. And it automatically brings up a selection. And there's actually 2 selections here. I have the top bird, and then I have the bottom bird. And with this, if you don't like the color that the selection is, you can turn it on and off. You can also change your selection color so you can really see what the color is. Default is that little blue color there. I'm going to leave it for there for now. And to pick one or the other, I just click on the bird. I clicked on the bottom bird, and you can see it made a selection with the marching ants going around it. So what I'm going to do is do a Command J, which is bring it up on its own layer. So I made a copy layer of the bottom bird. He's all by himself. And let me turn my paintbrush on, B for brush. And let's go into a soft round brush. And we're going to paint this bird on the bottom. And let's go with, how about a bright red so everybody can see it? And I want to paint the bird. Well, you can see while I'm painting the bird, I can't stay within the lines very well with that big brush that I'm using. That's okay. Command Z to undo. Above layer 1 on the right hand side, can everybody see where my cursor is? There is what's called the lock transparent pixels, a little checkerboard right here, and right next to it says lock. I'm going to click on that, and it put a lock on that layer. So what it's doing is saying you're not going to paint on anything outside of what's there. The transparent pixels, the checkerboard there, it's not going to allow me to paint. I'm going to change it to color mode, so it's just kind of painting in the color. And let's change it to about 50% opacity. To do that, I just hit the 5 key and it changes it to 50. And you can see no matter where I put my brush, it painted inside of there. There's no spillover anywhere. It just painted where the selection is. So you just click on that little checkerboard right there. There's another way to do it. Unpaint, unlock. I'm going to hit the Command or Control key and click on layer 1, which is the bird at the bottom. And now you can see I have marching ants all the way around him. It's made a selection for me. And when you hit the Command or Control key and click on the icon right there, what it does, it makes whatever's in that picture is selected. So if I clicked on the background layer, it would select everything. But being it's only the little bird at the bottom, B for brush, and again, same thing. I can just paint on the bird without going outside the lines. So when you're doing composites, if you use that lock right there, you can just paint away and not have a problem. Let's take it down to 20%. So we just get a nice red tone. It's my red-bellied sapsucker with a blue-chested and blue head. And you can see that I'm not going outside the lines because I turned on that lock again. Any questions on that? Did anybody know that before, besides Yogi?
I did not know that. That's really cool.
Cool. I'm glad we got something really easy.
I knew that, but never remember to use it.
I can't tell you how many times I have forgotten to use that. And I just took Sandra Pierce's class when I was in Washington, D.C. in January. And she reminded me again, I'm going, hello. Now I'm remembering because I'm teaching everybody that. So that's an oldie. That's been around forever and ever. And I just keep forgetting to do that. So let's go ahead and go back into
I learned something, how to find the quick selection tool again.
W. If you're in W, we'll go through that in a second. Okay, let's go to Neuro Filters and we'll go to Colorize to start. And
Are those the brainy filters?
these are the brainy filters. And you can see I shot this inside of I call it a jail. It was a fake old town place that had a jail, and they had this guy there, and so I photographed him. Normally, if I go to white balance and hit auto, it'll correct it for me. This is not doing it in camera raw this time. I mean, even if I crank if I crank the blues all the way down, then it gives me a fairly decent shot. But let's go back to as shot, and we'll go to open, and we'll go open, 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 open. And we have this nice red guy. We'll go to filter. Oh, what was it? Oh yeah, I was going to show the selection tools. If you hit W, right now it's in the object selection tool. If I hit Shift W, it's in the magic wand. If I hit Shift W again, it goes to the quick selection tool. So you just go through hitting Shift W, Shift W, Shift W, and any of these that have a drop down with all these, like the eyedropper tool is I. If you hit Shift I, you go through all the tools as it goes through. So that's a shortcut for that. Let's go to zoom, so I'm not in that wasting energy time. We'll go to filter, to neuro filters. And these are wicked cool. They're not perfected yet, but they're pretty dang good. Let me shrink my screen down a little bit here. I can slide them over to the left. You guys can't see my zoom tools, but they always keep getting in the way of everything I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to go to colorize, which is about the fourth one down on the right-hand side, and click on colorize. And it's preparing processing on device. And it took all the red out and made a skin almost a skin tone. You can make adjustments to it. You can do color artifact reduction, noise reduction, desaturate. You gotta wait for it to work. Goes to black and white. Take it back to 0. You can take out some of the red with the cyan. It turns everything a cyan color, so it makes it god awful ugly. But you can tweak it just a little bit, and it processes everything on the computer for you. And then you can output as a new color layer. You can do it down at the bottom. You can do current layer, new layer masked, smart layer, smart filter, or new document. Normally I just do new layer, but if I do output as a new color layer and new layer, you can see it fixed it, but here's the layer that it shows. That's what it actually does to the image to make it look pretty. When you mash them two together, it puts it as a color layer and just mashes the colors in there for you. So that's number 1 on colorize. Don't save, go back. We'll go to colorize number 2. I'm going to do this on purpose because I know what's going to happen. It's going to tell me you can't do this. So we'll go to filter, neural filters, and colorize is grayed out. So I can't make this a color image based on the way it is. Can anybody guess as to why I can't? If you go to image mode,
Get out of grayscale.
it's in grayscale. If you're in grayscale, it will not allow you to paint colors in there. So I'll go to RGB color, and I'm going to change it from 16-bit to 8-bit so to go a little faster. And then I'm going to go to filter, neural filters, and now it has colorize. One of the bad things about this is the preview window on the right-hand side is so small that it makes it hard to work with it. And you can see that some of the plane, especially the big plane, let's zoom in a little bit. Some of the big plane is nice and green on the wings, but the fuselage is not green. It's a little bit green over here. And then under the plane, miss the color, and then the plane on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the fuselage, the front part of the airplane, and I'm going to go in and pick a color. And obviously I want a green, a grayish green. And it's painting, 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 thinking, thinking, and then it painted it green. And it's a little bit too much green, I think. So let's go ahead and take it more grayish, let it paint again.
How did you tell it to select the fuselage?
I clicked on the fuselage in the tiny, tiny picture up here.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's no way to make it bigger that I know of. Everything I do, if I make it bigger, it just makes it bigger on the screen. I'm pointing to my screen over here if you can't see. Jeez, that's really bright. If you click on like the fuselage, it'll bring up the color picker
Uh-huh.
and then start there. You can see under the wing right here, it's gray again. So I can take the same color, hold the Option or Alt key and drag under there, and then create another of the same color. And then on, say, the cowlings on the propellers, I can do the same thing, or I can just click on the cowling and it's already got that green color going. So it's going to give me that green color. And then same thing on the right-hand side, or pilot left, or right. And one of the problems, I want to select a color that's in there right now. And when I bring up the color picker, it will not allow me to do that. Even if I hit eyedropper, for eyedropper, it won't help. It won't allow you to pick a color off of the screen there. So that's kind of frustrating for me. They've got a little ways to go, but they're getting there. I want to paint under the big airplane right here. So if I click in that area, see if I hit it. I did. And I want to make that brownish color here. So somehow I have to figure out how to make a brown. By dragging the slider around. Don't want it too dark. Let's try that. And that's kind of yellowish. So we'll bring it down a little. Try that. And it's kind of hit and miss. What you could do is do the first colorize, go into Photoshop and click and memorize the colors, or write down the colors that you want to make things. And so let's go ahead and make the airplane on the top the same color. Hold the Option or Alt key and paint on him. And now he's green. I don't know if that's the color he's supposed to be or not. I want to paint the tips of the propellers a nice yellow, but with this teeny tiny picture, I don't think I can do it. I'm going to have to do that on the other end. So Command 0, and then the sky is not bad. A few glitches in there from other things, but I'm going to output to new layer. And then you have before and after. That are the colorized filter. You can do black and white, or you can take pictures I think I've got another one in here. Let's close this guy first. Command W, close, don't save. Back to bridge. Ah, my hero, Luke Bryant. No matter what I do, trying to fix the color in Camera Raw, it's really wonky. So let's go up to As Shot, open, filter, neural filter. We'll do colorize. And would you look at that? What color would you like his shirt to be? Green? Green it is. He's now got a green shirt. It's also got green muscles too, but we can fix that down the road. See if that, yeah, it does his whole arm. So we'll remove it, click it off. There we go. We'll leave it like that for now. And let's okay him just for fun. There's another filter that's in Neural Filters. We're going to go to Filter, Neural Filter, Depth Blur, which is down in the beta section. So it's going to be a little bit slower to work with, but Depth Blur is really cool. Give it a second to kick in. Preparing, processing on device. You can see the little thing down at the bottom down here. It says processing on device. What I'm going to do is I'm going to blur the strength all the way to 100%. And it just blurs the background. On this one, it doesn't do a whole lot, but it does a little bit. We'll drag some haze over. And what happens is it selects your subject, and it's selecting him too for some reason, but it selects your subject and makes a selection out of it, and that's what's blurring. If I turn off focus subject, it'll blur everything. And focus subject is right where my cursor is, right here. Turn it back on, and it's just him and the drummer and his guitar player there. And what I can do is take the haze down, click OK. And I'm going to hit filter. And up at the top says Neural Filters, which is Command F or Control F for me because I set up my keyboard shortcuts for that. Hit it again. And it'll run the same filter one more time and should blur them a little bit more. So you got your original here, and you got your depth blur, which most everything's blown out. So we'll hit a crop, and we'll do X to make it a 4:6 standing up. Just do that. Too slow shutter speed because the mic is a little blurred, but everything else behind him is blurred out just a little bit. So
It's interesting how it's blurring his hand out underneath the muscles in the back.
yeah, it wasn't a perfect selection that it made. So it's kind of struggling with the selection there. What I could do is make a selection of him alone and bring him up on top and then blur the whole thing out. Let's go ahead, don't save.
Can you refine the selection or use masks in that neural filter?
Not in the neural filter, but let's go and bring them up again. Let's go ahead and go to our object finder up here. With the object selection tool, if I want, right now I've got it set to lasso. So what I can do is do the lasso tool and just go around him And it should, if everything goes right, pick him out.
What about that output with the mask? Couldn't you adjust the mask then later? There's
Yeah,
no filters could
You
output
can, but what it will do, when you mask it there, it will say it goes to the bottom layer. So once I do the neural filter on him, let's bring him up on a new layer. If I did neural filter, let's do the colorize first. Okay, colorize just skin tones. Uh-oh. We're going to be in meeting again. So we're going to back up. Let me finish this one real quick and we'll log back in again. Okay, let's go to depth blur. I'm going to crank it up to 100%. And there's nothing to blur except for him, so it's not blurring anything. So what I would have to do is go to this layer, do the depth blur. Do the depth blur. Come on, you can do it. Okay, it don't want to play. It changed its mind. So what I would do is close this one down. Command W, don't save. We're going to have to go back out and in the meeting again. So let's